the other sad story, going back to being a fan, was that I remember when Pete Doherty and Wolfman single For Lovers came out, which I think ended up being like a top 10 or top 20, even top 5 like hit single. Testament to how different times were then. There was a signing at HMV, and I'd seen this book, The Libertine, that I think was what the film with Johnny Depp was based on, in a charity shop. And I was like, oh, I'm going to buy that book because it's called The Libertine. And then I remember thinking at the time, I was like, oh, I'm going to give this to Pete as a gift when I go to the signing at HMV, which again, just like mad. And probably queued up in HMV for an hour and a half while like all these people just told their life story to Pete. And got to the front, gave him this book, and he was like, "Ah, oh, thanks, mate." Like, blah blah blah. I've always wanted to read this or something, and I was like, "Oh, are you staying at the blah blah hotel?" I think I knew there was some hotel in Edgware Road or something that he was staying, and being like a weird stalker fan, I was like, "Oh, you staying at this hotel?" And he was like, I was like, "It's where near where my parents live." And he was like, "Oh, really?" He was like, "You should come around for breakfast." And I was like, "Oh, really? Wow, yeah." And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Great." And I was with my friend, and we were like, "Okay, great. Pete Doherty's invited us to breakfast at the hotel in Edgware Road." So we were like, "Okay, well, we'll need to get there early for breakfast." So we went back to stay at my parents' house where they lived, like West London. And we're like, okay, we'll stay the night and we'll set our alarms at 7, so we can get round there nice and early for breakfast with Doherty. Turned up at this hotel, two 17 or 18-year-olds, and probably like something out of Home Alone 2. The person at the desk was like, "Yes," and they're like, "Oh, we're here to see Pete." And they're like, "Pete who?" And we're like, "Pete Doherty. He's invited us for breakfast." And they're like, "Okay." And they're like, "We'll just call his room." So the person on the desk called his room. They're like, "Hello, like, Mr. Doherty." So it's like, "There's 2 boys here to see you for breakfast." And they're like, we kind of can't hear what's being said on the phone. They put the phone down. They said, "He said come back tomorrow." So we go home, and we're like, and my parents are like, "How did it go?" Like, thinking it's a bit weird. I don't know if we told them actually, but again, I don't know what they must have thought was going on. And we're like, "Oh no, it's tomorrow. Breakfast is tomorrow. It wasn't actually today. We're going back tomorrow." So again, we sit around all day. It must have been school holidays or something. Set our alarms again for the next day, having done nothing except get excited about our breakfast tomorrow. The day after, go back to the hotel at 8 a.m. and the person behind the desk gives us this sad look of like, and we're like, "We're here for breakfast with Pete," and they're like, and the person at the desk's like, "He checked out in the middle of the night. He's gone."